What's going on, my intergalactic pals? And today, going over some rules, some stuff that I thought was very interesting, things that I think would be kind of good to cover. So with that being said, let's get into it. One of them that was brought up was the rearranging resources after DJ. Someone said this situation came up at the PQ in Portland. If you play DJ and steal one of their ready resources, according to the new rules, 1.714, they can now swap the ready stolen resource with one of their exhausted ones that they use to pay for DJ. I and several folks I've talked to think that this is a significant change to how DJ works, more so that the card seemingly intends to help with scanning officers. What do others think? Everybody chimed in. They kind of said their 2 cents or pointed out like, hey, XYZ. But I'm just going to go straight to the Twitter post that was asked. Ashlyn, who's one of the people in our Discord for the judge Discord anyways, asked on Twitter, not sure if this was an intentional change. 1.714 may rearrange their resources at any time so long as the number of ready resources and exhausted resource is the same. So the individual resources do not need to maintain their state they were in. The reply back from Tyler was correct. We do not want to force players to think about what resources they're exhausting when they are exhausting resources, a decision that doesn't matter 99% of the time, which is true. Right now, I think the only ones that really matter is DJ, scanning officer, maybe tech, because tech you can always look, but again, you can just move them around, doesn't really matter. Ashlyn then replies, can I rearrange my resources after scanning officer has chosen readied ones to make the chosen resources exhausted instead and then defeat those resources? Tyler responded back, no, any rearranging should be done before scanning officer ability is resolved. Once the resources are selected, they cannot be changed until after the ability is fully resolved. So my take on it is, I play scanning officer. Its abilities on the stack. I now have to choose what resources I want to look at. Or my opponent plays a DJ and they want to steal a resource from me. In that process, I cannot rearrange. I would rule it that you cannot rearrange because the effect has to resolve for the chosen. My hair's messed up. For the chosen cards, and then after you get to choose. Now, if I think my opponent's gonna play a DJ after I played a card, I just feel like rearranging should be done only on your turn, because then it just kind of get wishy-washy. Like, well, if DJ's effect is on the stack, I should be able to rearrange it. Yeah, but now you're slowing down the game. I think that you should be allowed to rearrange your resources during essentially the player's turn. So if I play scanning officer, my opponent shouldn't be allowed to rearrange their resources while I'm playing scanning officer. It should be after I played scanning officer. But I've heard people say like their opponent played they played DJ and their opponent switched resources in the process and the judge ruled it. And me personally, I would say, if this was me, this is just my opinion based on the way things are worded. If they played DJ, if my opponent smuggled out DJ, I wouldn't be able to switch my resources around during that time. Just like if I played scanning officer, they shouldn't be allowed to switch their resources at the time until I have resolved my effect. Now, unless it gets more clear on specifically the windows of when resources can be rearranged, I would just, me personally, my opinion, my way I would rule it until specified otherwise, I would say after the ability resolves. After DJ's played, his ability goes on the stack, he targets, he gets the resource, you could rearrange after that. Same thing with scanning officer. But that's just my take. What do you guys think? I think being able to switch it is should be either on your turn. Yeah, pretty much just on your turn. If it really doesn't matter, then that's the statement, or the way I would rule it is only on your turn. But I guess because it's kind of a thing now, lurking TIE fighter with indirect damage, kind of understand indirect damage. I'll probably go into more of how indirect damage works, but lurking TIE fighter versus indirect damage. Indirect damage can damage lurking TIE, as indirect damage cannot be prevented. Lurking TIE fighter is a preventive effect, so it says they can. Like I said, I'll get into it more. I think I want to do a more visual representation of how that works, but indirect damage, lurking TIE fighter. Indirect damage can hurt lurking TIE fighter now. Someone asked, piloting for an alternative cost. Again, new rules, new things. We haven't gotten everything, so a lot of people are just speculating. But one of them, I think, was kind of interesting. Cov Vanth says you can discard a 2-cost card when defeated from the top of your deck, and then you can play it this turn. You can play said card as a, wondering if you could play it as a pilot, for example, R2D2. Similar question goes to piloting from U-Wing reinforcement. Does it count the main cost of the character, or the cost of what you're paying it as? Chewbacca first made as a 5-drop, but piloting is 3. So how many? Always refers to the printed cost. Yellow top corner. Cobb Vanth can play a card in either mode. U-Wing has to be a unit. When defeated, search top 10 cards of your... So Cobb Vanth is, when defeated, search top 10 cards of your deck for a unit that costs 2 or less, and discard it. For this phase, you may play that card from your discard pile for free. So his specific defeat ability specifies it has to be a unit that costs 2 or less, and then you discard it. His follow-up ability is, the condition is, for this phase, you may play that card from your discard pile for free. So he kind of overwrites that ability. So if there's a pilot, Tycho, it's a 2-drop. It's a piloting cost of 2. Attached unit gains attack on attack given experience token to this unit. Deal 1 damage to it. So Cobb could, in theory, get you this as a pilot because it is a 2-drop. It has a 2-drop pilot cost. It overrides that U-Wing. Search top 10 cards of your deck for 3 units with the combined cost of 7 or less. Play them for free. So that specifies units, and that tells you the cost, meaning you have to follow the card. It has to be a unit, cannot be a pilot, and it always indicates the cost in the top left-hand corner of the unit. Someone asked if Inferno 4, about Inferno 4 and Thrawn, which was from set 1, if I remember, Grand Admiral Thrawn, which is a leader. His action is, when the action phase starts, look at the top card of each player's deck. Okay, so we get to look at the top of the deck. And then Inferno 4 says, when played / when defeated, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You may put any number of them to the bottom of your deck and the rest in the top order. They want to know if Thrawn looks at it, they play Inferno 4. Does the Thrawn still know what the top card is? Simple answer is no, because now information has reset. They don't know what that top card is. You could have put both at the bottom, or you may rearrange the 2, so forth and so forth. The only information they know is the first time around when the start of the phase happened, and that's it. Now, if that information stayed the same, even if it stayed the same, they still can't look at the top card. They only get the visual information once, and that's at the beginning, and that's it. They can't just go, I need to look at the top card. Another thing, I have visual representation for this one, which is kind of cool. So I opened up a pack of Spark of the Rebellion, and it might be hard to see. Let me see if I get those in there. Like that. These were miscut. I haven't seen a lot of miscuts, so I can't really see, but I'm trying to get these in. I'm trying not to get it focused on me. There. Yeah, that looks pretty good. These are miscuts. These are official cards that I opened, and they were miscut like this. These are perfect representation of damaged cards that would need proxies. So if you did draft, Judge would have to give you a proxy, and I would use these just as references. I haven't seen any miscuts like this, which is kind of funny because they were like 2, 3, and 4. So I got a 2, 3, and a 4 cost. But I haven't seen any miscuts like this with anybody else that I know. If you have any, let me know. They're kind of interesting, you know, because they're squared instead of rounded. But yes, these would be a perfect representation of needing a proxy if you drafted, and that's what you got. Caught in the Crossfire. Someone asked, if Caught in the Crossfire is being resolved with Lurking TIE Fighter as one of the targets, does Phantom take damage? Choose 2 enemy units. So no, a Lurking TIE Fighter wouldn't work, because it's you play it, you choose 2 enemies in the same arena, each of those deal power to themselves, or to each other. It wouldn't work, seeing it as a card that you played against an enemy Lurking TIE Fighter. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hey, check out my other videos. If you have any questions, ask them down below. I will try my best to answer them. My hair is a mess today. And as always, please be safe in that big galactic world of ours. And I'll see you around.